Hi everyone, I'm Naha, and this is the 22 Teachings channel, where we talk about the tarot and other magical tools in the Western mystery tradition. Now, it is Leo season, and so we are opening a deck today, which is called the Lioness Oracle. And I do believe this to be a tarot deck. I was doing a little research to see if I could find anything out about this deck creator. Their name is Alejandra Leon, and I wasn't really able to find a bio or anything online. This came from Oakland, so I think that they're up north, and they have three decks available on their website. Now, they all have sort of a collage style, but only one is following the actual tarot standard structure of 78 cards, so I believe that's the one that I got. Let's just get into it and see. It's been a hot minute since I've been on here, so I really want to say thanks to those of you who have stuck around, and welcome, of course, to those of you who are new, but there's a lot of people that have continued to encourage me to come back and keep making videos for you guys, so thank you for that. Yep, we've got the Lioness Oracle Tarot. It's a pretty large size box here as far as standard tarot cards go, so see, that's the cover. And as a Leo myself, I definitely have some ideas about what it means to connect with one's sun sign, but I definitely think that when it is the particular time of the year that the sun is passing through your sun sign, that it's kind of like a power time for you. It's definitely a time for you to really feel into who you are as that sign. And I'll give you guys some more of my takes about that as we get into this. But I just want to share here. Yeah, it says created in Oakland, California by Alejandra Leon. 78 card deck with guidebook included. Very nice box. And I remember, I think, seeing this online. Somebody had posted it, and I was like, I would be remiss as a Leo to not have the Lioness Oracle. This is beautiful already. A lot of rose themes here. Here's the guidebook. It's just open to a random page, do a little bibliomancy. So I'm just putting my finger down. 3 of Wands. Okay, this is kind of cool. So speaking of the Western mysteries, this is giving the astrological correspondences of the minors. Now, different schools of thinking, different traditions have varying attributes for the zodiacal and astrological correspondences to the minor arcana. So 3 of Wands, Sun in Aries. Yes, that's exactly how I would attribute that key. The 3 of Wands occurs when things are growing in the desired direction. Skills are honed and one's will is focused. The vision is becoming a reality, and this brings harmony and joy. And then there's some meanings here: power building, progress, forward moving, ideas coming together, creative self-expression, putting plans into action, developing craftsmanship. Some of that feels aligned with me getting back on the channel. And so especially moving forward, ideas coming together, progress. And I will say that one of the things I like to think of with 3 of Wands, one thing I've found over the years of being a reader is that card specifically connects a lot to cycles of 3, like 3 years typically. When I see that card upright, I oftentimes read it as looking 3 years into the future and reversed 3 years into the past. So here's the deck. It's a very heavy card stock. Wow, yeah, and matte, and it has those gold edges that you can see that have become really popular in recent years. So let's go ahead and take a look together. Now, you know what's jumping out to me? I always say to my tarot students, look at the first thing that jumps out to you on the card. That can be a very important thing to notice. Now, whenever you're working with a brand new deck that you've never seen before, you really need to spend some time with each individual card, not to worry about the meanings, but just to be able to easily and quickly recognize which card is which. So if it's not familiar to you, you don't want to be spending time in your reading just trying to figure out what the card even is, let alone how you're going to interpret it. And I like to suggest that when you pull a card, you take a look at what is the very first thing your eyes are drawn to. Because, of course, there can be a lot of different imagery there. And one thing stands out. That can be the detail that can help take you into what the particular message is for you that day. And what I was drawn to was actually this hand-drawn font down here where it says the Fool with these little stars over the O's. And do you see that the T is like an onk there? It's a very cool little detail. And I will say, I'm just going to start showing these cards. There have been many different decks that I have seen where the font of the writing kind of throws it off for me. I can really, really love the imagery. And sometimes, especially in the modern era, if it's a really computer generated looking font, it can kind of turn me off. So I love the handwritten wording here. And so far, these are pretty cool. So again, we can see this collage imagery. We've seen these different kinds of collage decks. Is it a little bit of a, I always think of the Dakini Oracle as one of the sort of little bit more OG collage type decks. But, and this is like a little bit of a feel like that to me. So it doesn't have a super ultra modern kind of vibe. It has a little bit more of a vintage vibe. That's where it feels like these images are drawn from. Here's Strength. This is the key, which would correspond to Leo. There we see the Lioness and the roses, which definitely are thematic throughout this deck. Roses, symbolic of desire. This is a cool one. There we have the Hermit. So I'm going to go ahead and show a few more. That's the Wheel of Fortune. Here's the Justice key. And we see the Libra sign here. So they've gone ahead and put the zodiacal sign that corresponds with that. Here is not the Hanged Man, but the Hanged Woman. And so I suppose since this is the Lioness Oracle, that there is a feminine theme to this deck. There's the Death card, Temperance, and we see the Archangel there, just like we would see in a sort of standard familiar Rider-Waite-Smith. These two cards, the Tower and the Devil, they feel a little gentle to me for the typical imagery that I would associate with those kind of keys. I don't like to shy away from a message that's difficult and hard, but maybe if I spend a little bit more time in those. Look at the star, David Bowie, that we have here. So it is called an oracle, although it has a standard tarot format, but it has more, to me, it's much more of a oracle-y kind of feeling to it. Sometimes it seems like it really kind of goes off in its own direction. And then, for instance, these cards, we saw it with Temperance too, that have, again, the traditional archangels on there. And there's the World. Let's get into some of these minors. And it looks like the standard suits are named here. So Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles. One thing that I'm seeing, here's that Three of Wands, and there's no specific indication here of three wands from what I can see. We have a woman playing a sitar in a field, and we see the roses there, but it's not that expression of like the sort of pips of there are three wands in the image, and we don't see that here with the Four of Wands as well. So it is really helpful to have the name of the key on the bottom. So I don't know how else that would really be indicated to me that that's what key it was. So when it comes to astrology, there are the major cards, which correspond to 12 of them, to the zodiac signs. And I like to think of those 12 keys not as necessarily the full expression of that particular sign, but rather that sign's biggest challenge, that sign's biggest life lesson. And my take on sun signs especially is that the sign that you're born under is going to contain both what your greatest strengths can be, if it's balanced, if it's evolved, if it's something that you've really addressed and worked through and are expressing in its highest way. And it can be the same thing, being our biggest challenges, the things that are our worst qualities when that same thing is out of balance. A Leo is known for being able to be a really good leader, ruled by the sun. It can definitely be sort of a call to the center of attention. Now, in a positive aspect, of course, the qualities of leadership and courage are really potent things. But in an unbalanced place, that can definitely lead to egoic behaviors, or even the flip side of that, which is total insecurity and social anxiety. And those are things that I've had to deal with and work through during my lifetime. You know, I love kitties, right? This is the Two of Cups. So we're in the cup suit now, and I will say that we continue going on this theme with all of the roses. And also, roses are very much a symbol of the heart as well. And the heart is anatomically the area that corresponds to the sign of Leo. So that might be one of the reasons why this was a choice. And I am seeing that there is more water imagery in the cup. So sort of the elemental aspect is present here. We see dolphins, we see the sea. So we see that there. I really love this 10 of Cups, but if I didn't have the word down here, I might just think that this is the ace. Let's go ahead and take a look at the swords. So, I really love this 2 of Swords. With the 2 figures veiled in black and white, this is awesome. That's a super powerful one. The images to me stand alone stronger maybe than they might as the totality of them together. So sometimes we do see like this key right here, the 5 swords are there, and then in the 6 of Swords we don't see any swords at all. So it just really feels like a much more imaginative deck. This is funny. Let's look at the 9 of Swords. Okay, now they're finally bringing some of that more difficult imagery. So what I was missing in the Devil and the Tower card, here are 2 other difficult cards, 9 and 10 of Swords, and they definitely have. Look at this guy. I thought it was Nosferatu for a second. I'm not sure that it is though, but we can definitely see. Look at this kitty down here. Something that feels like a little bit more disturbing imagery. Let's look at some of the pentacles. So whatever your particular zodiac sign is, however you relate to it, if you feel very much like your sign, not to use that as a sense of, well, this is who I am, so this is what my strengths are, but to recognize whatever sign you are, that there is a great opportunity for you in that to really work through some very important lessons. And so to think of it as some of the aspects of your purpose and what you've come here to in this lifetime, this incarnation, to work through and to resolve. And in time, one of the aspects of doing the great work, especially as it is understood in the Western mysteries, is to resolve and balance all of the archetypes within the self. So all of the aspects of the elements and of each facet of the zodiac and of all of the planetary energies. So don't think that if you are not a Leo that you don't have still lessons to work through with this sign. So here are some of the court cards of the Pentacles. Here's the Queen, and then the King, the Lion there. So a really beautiful deck. It's definitely got a vibe to it. It's very, very strongly thematic throughout all of the keys. I don't feel that there's a ton of diversity in the imagery specifically. I also feel, and part of this is due to the size of the cards, I like to use these in a more of a talismanic way than in doing a full spread kind of a way. And what I mean by that is I might just pick one particular image, either select it or draw it, place it on my altar as something that I can focus on, something that I can call in for myself, or something I can work on transmuting if it's a more difficult thing. Just giving these some shuffles, and we're just gonna draw a card out of the deck and ask for a message. So I am always thinking about the functionality of the deck. Not just do I connect with the imagery, but also what would I use it for? So I'm just going to go ahead and cut. And the card that I'm selecting is another 3. 3 of Swords. 3 of Swords typically, to me, has a pretty strong, powerful impact, because the classic version of that, we see the heart with the 3 swords stabbing in it. Here we see 2 people together, and it looks like one is comforting the other. I actually really like that it's almost like her gown here is this rose. Now, there is something that feels powerful in this message, that whatever it is that you might be going through, especially if that is something that's hard on you emotionally, to be able to find some comfort in sharing that with somebody else, or being in the presence of somebody else and not just isolating in that. And it also makes me think of the 3rd sphere on the Tree of Life, which is the sphere of understanding, Binah. And that's what this feels like to me, is that there's some understanding. Maybe this person doesn't even need to share all of the gory details of what's going on with them, but they just want to feel like somebody else can understand that they're having a hard time and get a little bit of sympathy through that, that they will be able to move beyond that. The moon always, to me, symbolizes the cyclical nature of things, and that there's going to be difficult times and there's going to be times that are much better. So interesting message for us tonight. So this has been the Lioness Oracle. You can find this deck online at thelionessauracle.com. You can also follow the deck creator at the Lioness Oracle on Instagram. You can follow me at 22 Teachings or Naha99 and 22teachings.com. There's so much that has happened over the last couple of years, and especially since I was really, really active here on YouTube, that I would love to give you guys some updates and share some of the things that have been happening. If that's something that you guys are interested in hearing me talk about, then please leave a comment down below. As always, I appreciate you coming here to spend some time with me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.